So the name Lubya means green beans. Well, it actually means beans, and I believe in different Arabic-speaking countries, Lubya means different kinds of beans, but in my vocabulary, it means the green beans. A nice onion, olive oil, celery, garlic, carrots, lamb. We're going to chop up all of these vegetables and saute them in the olive oil. We'll do that later. And the ground lamb, you can also use shredded lamb, and you can do it without any meat at all. You can use hamburger, you can use a combination of lamb and beef. I like the lamb the best. Tomatoes, fresh or canned. I always use canned, it's just easier. And seasonally, you don't have to worry about whether you get good ones or not. Green beans, fresh or frozen, salt and pepper, dried mint, cumin, and cinnamon. This is how finely you chop the onion, and it depends on how much you're making, but I'd say at least a cup of onion is a good start. We're going to put it in the pan and saute it with oil and other vegetables. Then we're going to add some chopped celery. You know, you chop the celery about the same size as the onion pieces. So you're going to saute these in about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Just saute it for a long time until they're nice and tender, and maybe even if you do it a little bit browned, gives it a little bit of depth and color. How much minced garlic? Again, it's a matter of taste. I'm putting in a heaping teaspoon. Okay, so I'm just going to move the vegetables to the side. I've got the fire turned up on the burner, so now the meat is getting browned. I want to season it a little bit while it's still cooking. Do a little pepper, a little bit of salt, maybe a tablespoon of dried mint. That's not quite a tablespoon, but after I put the beans and the tomatoes in, then I repeat the spices. So here's a little bit of cinnamon, maybe a half a teaspoon, and maybe a teaspoon of cumin at this stage. Now we're going to put in the beans, and I'm making a lot of beans. It's about, I'd say 3 cups of beans to a pound of meat. And we're just going to toss those in there, let those cook down a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to add the tomatoes. Add a little bit of the happy spices again, a little cinnamon, a little cumin, a little mint. And I roll it in my hands because that's how it gets ground to a fine grind. And stir that in really nicely, integrate it into the stew. Now we're going to turn it down to low and let it just simmer for maybe a half an hour at the most. The beans will lose their color a little bit, and everything, all the flavors will meld. And then it's ready to serve. Serve it over white rice and with a side of yogurt.